Let's keep rolling here now. Let's go to line number 2. Say hello to our friend from Cape Breton, Bruno Marcocchio. Hello, Bruno. You're on the air.
Hi, Paddy. How are you today?
Best kind. How about you?
Good. We're having a fine day here. It's sure to cheer one up.
Are you calling from Cape Breton today, Bruno?
I am indeed.
Okay, very good.
Sunny Cape Breton.
Sunny Cape Breton. Fantastic.
Yeah. I listened with some interest to your preamble, Paddy, and I can only conclude that either you've had a double dose of the conservative Kool-Aid, and that's hold the progressive. Let's not confuse it with progressive conservative. Or you're terribly misinformed. Let me start with the scientists stepping up and protesting today.
Okay.
This is what they have to say. Democracy, and stop me if you think that there is a mistake here somewhere. Democracy depends on informed opinion. Informed opinion relies on understanding all of the evidence, not just that which supports political objective or ideology. Science provides much of the best evidence without regard to political agendas or ideology. The only scientific evidence that Mr. Harper wants the public to know is that which supports his political objectives and ideology. That's not science. Paddy, they say
but nor is science what you just said. First off, Bruno, we always get off on the wrong foot. Generally, it's because of you. So what is it that I said that means that I'm a Kool-Aid drinker, which of course I'm not, because I don't pledge allegiance to anyone but myself, unfortunately. But go ahead. What is it I said that makes me whatever you said?
You seem to think that the federal government had a point, that the scientists are just out for their own agenda.
No, it's not true. Bruno, listen, let's press reset. Let's start the conversation again. For starters, I didn't say what you just insinuated. I said everywhere that there is an opportunity to cut, those will, when affected by the cuts, have something to say about it. For anyone who tells me there's no opportunity to find efficiencies and cuts to science in the country, I think is foolhardy. Now, where am I wrong? Where am I wrong?
Exactly what these scientists are saying. When you adopt the political objectives and ideology, you're not talking about science, you're talking about propaganda. And that's what the federal government does. They put out propaganda to divert attention away from what they're really doing, which is hacking and slashing away at our democratic institutions.
Let's start a couple of...
They've cut the mandatory long-form census, major budget reductions to programs at Environment Canada, Fisheries and Oceans, Library and Archives Canada, the National Research Council, StatsCan, National Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada. They've closed major natural and social science research institutions, such as the Experimental Lakes Areas and National Council of Welfare and the First Nations. They're closing the Polar Environmental Atmospheric Research Laboratories.
So, Bruno, every single dollar involved with those departments that you just mentioned, are you telling me that every single dollar part of the cut was simply based on ideological agenda as opposed to an opportunity to save money?
It has nothing to do with efficiency. This is about the propaganda of government cutting the information that's crucial for you and I to make a reasoned and informed debate.
So, no, here I was. I thought I told the line. I thought I told the line between the realistic requirement.
No, Paddy, you drank the Kool-Aid. You drank the Kool-Aid as you usually do,
what
Paddy.
Kool-Aid, Bruno? Listen, you're a paid... You speak on behalf of who pays you, man. How dare you call me a shill?
I'm not paid
sick of you, man. Listen.
Let's get that straight. I'm not paid anything. I'm a volunteer at the Sierra Club. It's a volunteer.
Yeah, good for you. Then whatever the hell you are, Bruno. Listen, man. I don't drink anybody's Kool-Aid. There's nobody got enough money or influence to put a glass in front of me that I want to drink. For the love of God, can we get that straight?
Well,
let's ask you a couple of questions. Because I'm allowed to support stuff. Because I support things doesn't mean I support one party or the other. Are you joking, man? I'm a rational, smart young fellow who says whatever the hell he wants because I got the guts to say it.
Well,
let's start with a couple of things.
Smart young fellow. I don't think anybody else listening is saying that.
Well,
why is it?
It's extraordinary, Bruno, because I guarantee you that's not the first thing that pops in mind when people hear you call either. Look, 2-year environmental assessment, why is that not manageable?
Listen, the environmental community has long supported the idea of timeliness in environmental assessment. The reality is that most of the time the delays are not caused by anything except either government not doing their job or the proponent not providing the information. So that's a non sequitur, and that's a non-starter, and that's exactly what I mean.
Why is that a non-starter?
They rip apart the science in the country, and all you can talk about is efficiency in areas that everyone agrees should be and could be more efficient. That's why I think you're drinking the conservative Kool-Aid.
Ooh, yeah, well, considering I've never voted for him, so I suppose that you don't know what you're talking about, Bruno. You come on here to inflame me and enrage me. I got no problem being that way with you either, because I think you're a nuisance, man. Look, I feel that way because I think that. And that's what I say because I feel it. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well,
the 2 years of environmental assessment is plenty of time for these experienced, educated folks to do their job.
You didn't
End of
hear
story.
what I said. You didn't hear what I said. And again, you're just trotting out the propaganda that comes from the federal government. Let's move on to Muskrat Falls.
Sure, but
Why is it that we're building it? You posited.
Right. That's the question.
Why is it?
Right.
So you are assuming that there must be some reason. I think it's become abundantly clear from the conversations that we've had to date that it can't make any money. So making money is clearly not why they're going ahead with it. Can I get you to agree to that?
Bruno, I asked the question. I thought it was a very intelligent question once again.
The question. I'll answer.
What am I answering questions for what? Since when do I answer questions on why someone's doing something that I'm not doing?
Why are you building Muskrat Fall when there's no need for the power and there's not a hope in hell that you'll make any money and do anything except put ratepayers in Newfoundland and Labrador?
Good question. So you can listen. You're not that bright, but you can listen. I said why. Now you're regurgitating my question. You have an answer for us?
I do. There's a couple.
Go ahead.
The first one, let's not forget that Nalcor is a provincially owned utility. There's one shareholder to Nalcor. That's the government of Newfoundland and Labrador.
500,000 shareholders.
What?
It's 500,000 shareholders.
No, well, what a pile of crap that is. And don't deflect it away. There's one shareholder, the government of Newfoundland and Labrador. If they spend $10 billion, they're guaranteed a 9.8% return on that money. That, in another word, is called a tax of over $1 billion that are going to be saddled up to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador if all goes well. If they lose money, it will go on the backs of the ratepayers. How can they sell and make any money producing power that will cost $17.1 delivered to Soldiers Pond when Manitoba Hydro cancels projects because it'll cost them 11 cents to produce? You can't answer any of those questions. You just go ahead and keep asking ridiculous questions about why are they doing it.
Oh, so it's ridiculous. Wait, now, Bruno, hold on 1 second here. Just take a deep breath. You're telling me that because you ask a question of why are we doing it, and then I ask the same question, why are we doing it, I'm a propagandist drinking Kool-Aid, and you're what? A concerned citizen?
That's right.
That's the difference.
And it tells you like it is. I'm telling you that if they go ahead with Muskrat Falls, it's a de facto $1 billion tax on the residents of Newfoundland and Labrador that you and nobody else can seem to admit. The only rationalization, if one doesn't consider the corruption and the relationship with LNC Lavalin, $1.5 billion in untendered contracts. Do you live in a democracy? How can you let them spend $1.5 billion before they've shown that it's a good deal, that there's a need for the power? How can you do that, Paddy?
Nobody has given anybody any public clearance or go-ahead on anything here, Bruno. What part of the process don't you follow and understand? Until it comes to the time where the last numbers are released and discussed and debated and understood, nobody's given anyone sanction to do anything. What are you talking about, man?
Again, you missed the point. In a democracy, that's not how you conduct business. You don't spend $1.5 billion before you show anybody what you're doing and what the cost is and what the need for the project is. You got to deal with that, Paddy, sometime sooner or later. I'd like to urge all of your listeners to take a look at a very good website.
It's not a very good website. The Vision 2041.com.
Vision21.com, where it lays out very eloquently in graphs and in tables things like the forecasting error of Nalcor that they...
I tell you what, Bruno, why don't you do me and certainly this program a favor? If they put it forward eloquently, as opposed to how you present yourself and represent the Sierra Club, who must be shagged if you're their representative, why don't you just turn our listeners onto that website and you and I will say adieu?
Well, you can take all the shots at me.
You take your shot. You start taking your shots at me before I even said hello to you today.
I'm not the one.
I said hello, Bruno. How are you? Sunny day in Cape Breton. Blah blah blah. You come at me telling me I'm drinking someone's friggin' Kool-Aid. You're off your head, my son. I do what I want, and I represent me and me alone. If I have my own opinion on stuff, then you'll have to put up with it. Or turn on something else.
When I present the facts and you don't like it,
you're not presenting the facts. You're not presenting the facts, Bruno. You make exaggerations and assertions of which you don't know what the hell you're talking about. There's no numbers in play. You're making crap up all the time.
$1.5 billion in untendered contracts. Did I make that up?
Listen, man, nobody here has a proof. Nobody here, Bruno, thinks that that's a good idea. We all question it unanimously. So whose Kool-Aid am I drinking if it's not yours?
Then why aren't you demanding to see where the 1.5 billion?
Before I say goodbye.
For the relationship with Lavalin when they're known to be corporate malfeasance.
Right. They're also known to do quality engineering. Here's while you and I are on there before I say goodbye. I demand to see and to be answered why are we spending that $1.5 billion in untendered contracts. I demand every piece of information required at the DG3 stage before Muskrat Falls is sanctioned. I demand to see an analysis costed out of wind, natural gas, both LNG and development of White Rose. I demand all of that before, as a representative of anybody, including and only me in Newfoundland and Labrador, before whether or not I say it's okay. Does that satisfy you?
Well, it's a start.
That's a good start.
Now,
that's the last word. Moving on.
What about the $1.5 billion that they've already spent prior to sanctions?
What about it?
Aren't you concerned about that?
Totally, Bruno.
Don't you want to know where the money went?
Totally.
Why aren't you asking?
I just asked. I demand, my son. I demand it.
Well, when are you going to have Martin on to answer your questions?
Whenever.
No, you're just dodging. You're just playing.
I'm just dodging.
You've drunk the Kool-Aid. You're conservative. No, forget the progressive.
You are a lefty socialist dingbat, Bruno. You call up here and shred me on my show? Are you kidding me, my son? I've asked everybody questions. You can call if you like, but if you do, we'll get off on the right foot, have a legit conversation like you and Randy holding hands, or you can insult me and we'll have this conversation.
Randy and I have sensible, reasoned discussions. You beg for a fight and then you go running for your mummy the first time you take a shot.
Say what? I take more shots than you, Bruno, man, between you and I? When we talk?
Take it like a man, Paddy.
Took it like a man. I'm glad you're enjoying a sunny day in Cape Breton, and based on your advice, we just demanded all the pertinent information. How's that sound?
Good, and please, I hope your listeners look at that 2041.
Yeah, me too.
Vision2041.com. It's an extremely informative page.
Bye, Bruno.
Thank you.